For this particular period. Before we get started, I want to take the privilege of introducing to some of you and to it's on. What you say? Oh, okay. I want to take the privilege of introducing Miss Lisa Milliken, who is the new councilperson liaison. She will be help communicating from the planning commission to the council, from the council. I imagine you'll be talking to Rosie a lot, won't you? I believe it's Annalise too.
Sure.
So if you got a question, ask Lisa. Stand up, Lisa, so they can see you. Okay, we got a long two-item agenda going on right now. The first item is 2014-860, second reading. This is sponsored Maynard and Matthews, and it is an ordinance to amend the Metropolitan Code pertaining to the naming of streets and renaming a portion of 28th Avenue North and 31st Avenue North as Ed Temple Boulevard. Is there a motion? Okay, hang on. You got a substitute. You want to announce?
We need a motion on the original first.
Okay.
Sorry about that. On the bill and then a motion on the substitute.
Sorry about that. Is there a motion? A motion on Bill 860. Since no motion, it would be appropriate. It dies for lack of a motion. Is that right, John?
You would ask for a motion to approve.
Right.
If there's not going to be a motion to approve, is there another motion, or is there just going to be no motion of any kind?
You need to hear his then, right?
Well, we just need to see if anybody wants to make any kind of motion.
Is there any kind of motion to be made?
Okay, so it's no recommendation from the committee then?
No recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I wanted to make a motion to defer this bill. Yeah, I'm not sure about the, and I'll tell you why I made it, because of the protocol and just the way that it's been handled on the background. I think Ed Temple is a great man, and he definitely believes in the team spirit, and I think that that has not been utilized in carrying this forward. So I say a motion to defer. Thank you.
He hadn't moved on to the next order of business.
The next order of business is her motion.
Right, you hadn't started reading the caption of the next bill yet.
No. So then, what's the length of your deferment?
Point of order, we cannot act on this since we've already acted on it. You've already declared that there is no recommendation. So she can't come back and make a motion to.
But according to the rules, I had not read the...
Since this is a committee and the next order of business had not been moved on to, it's up to the committee. I mean, it's not like you're precluded from making a motion. So anyone on the committee can make a motion until the next order of business is taken up.
And I hadn't taken up the next order of business because I hadn't read the caption.
I think it was still.
Hold on 1 minute. Sure. Council, wait, go ahead. What's the length of your...
Yeah, just to defer indefinitely.
Defer indefinite. Is there a second? Councilman Scott Davis. We're looking for a second. You gonna second the motion?
I like to, and I apologize for my tardiness. It's fall break, and when you have children, it gets kind of difficult sometimes. But if it's not too late, it took a lot of thought, a lot of praying about this issue, but, I'd like the motion for disapproval.
Well, you can't speak on that. We already got a motion on the floor. We're looking for a second to cancel Lady Gilmore's motion.
If there's no second, then it fails for lack of a second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
Okay. Got a motion, second. Now we are open for discussion. Councilman Maynard.
Well, I would defer to the council lady. She made the motion. She would like to speak first, and she's already spoken, and I would like to respond. And it was her motion.
Okay. You want to push your button again? Okay.
Okay, thank you. I just think as council members, we have to be civil, and I think that is important in protocol. And like I shared earlier, the civility and the protocols were not properly handled, and I could not support this in a good conscience. And it has nothing to do with Coach Temple, because I think he was an awesome man. And I want all the viewing audience to know that I think he was awesome. He actually was a trainer of mine when I went on to be the fastest kid in the United States when I did the Hershey's Relay. So, yeah, and it's a true fact. I was covered in the Tennessean, and he was actually my trainer. But I do think he promoted teamwork and respect and getting along with others. And I think that that's very important. And last week, actually, to kind of underscore that, at the 2020 partnership, John Meacham shared 3 things that he thought that made Nashville special. And the second point was civility. And that he said the politicians were always able to be civil. And I think that is very important, and it cannot be shared enough. And I don't think that happened with this bill. So therefore, I cannot support it, and that's why I made the motion to defer indefinitely.
For indefinite, you got a second. Any other comments? Councilman Maynard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank the council for the opportunity to speak, and also thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to address on the record as to what happened with this particular legislation. There's been a lot of things said, but I want to make sure that the record is straight as we deal with this particular legislation. I received a call from a couple of community leaders, which I met on maybe been the Tuesday or Wednesday, where they talked about the 50th anniversary of Coach Ed Temple. The last time they had United States Olympic coach for the women's track team in the 1964 Japanese Olympic Games. They didn't inform me about how many medals that his team won, that they won 24 medals. They won several national championships, that he was the most decorated United States Olympic coach in the history of the United States, the most successful, and that this served as his 50th anniversary for his coaching as an Olympic coach, and how it was important in 2014 that we honor him by extending Ed Temple Boulevard from the three blocks that it currently is serving to extend it all the way to West End from Clarksville Pike. The next day I came up to the council office to discuss with the council officials, how do you do this? I've never done a name change before. I asked, how does this thing get done? They informed me of it. That same day I contacted council lady for the 21st District. I contacted her from the council office, called her. She stated that she said she was not certain she could support it because she wanted to have the next council person who would be elected to make that determination as to what would happen on that 28th Avenue. I informed her of the time sensitivity of it, that this was the 50th anniversary, and so therefore it was time sensitive. We couldn't wait till 2015 if she was so inclined. She told me she would think about it, and she said she wanted to call Public Works and she would get back with me. She did get back with me and told me that she did not support renaming it. I went back to the community leaders. I talked to several people, TSU alumni, including TSU administrative officials. I talked to them. They said that they wanted to move forward. Is there any way to move forward? I said there is a way to move forward, but but normally what we do is like the local district council person. And they said, well, but he's real huge, and Ed Temple's bigger than a district. It's bigger than he is a national hero. And this is his 50th anniversary, and not to honor him, they just did not understand why we would not do so. So therefore, Councilman Lionel Matthews agreed to sponsor it. I then contacted the council administration again, said we want to move forward. They then moved forward on the drafting. I want to make sure everybody understands this. There was nothing filed in or drafted before I talked to Council Lady of the 21st District. Nothing was drafted, nothing was filed. It was after I spoke to TSU officials, including administration, including their top administrator, that we then came back, they wanted to move forward. After moving forward, I was at the we were planning for the planning commission. I heard from several council persons on the floor at our meeting prior to that, where they asked us to defer it and to look at possibly looking at reducing the size, because there were so many people on 31st Avenue that would be adversely impacted by the name change. So we looked at that and we talked to Public Works, and they were saying that they really wanted to reduce 4 names for the same street. They would prefer it be 1 name, but they would be open to 2 names. So we decided to file the substitute so that we could go from over 300 properties being impacted to only 30 properties being impacted. Following that, we then went to those 30 homes. Of those 30 homes, 16 of them signed a petition stating that they agreed to rename it Ed Temple. So not only did we take away the adverse impact for the 300 properties, and for those who were on 31st Avenue, who were the only ones who said that they were in a disagreement besides St. James. Those were the only ones that said that they were not in agreement with renaming it. We then cut it off at the bridge, or on the other side of the bridge, so that 31st Avenue would not be impacted. So we have 30 homes that would be impacted. Of those, the majority signed the petition to support Ed Temple. We have 492 signers on our petition for Ed Temple Boulevard. We've had 293 people write letters and or send emails to this council. Now, I understand when somebody says civility and courtesy, but we need to show civility and courtesy to the community. Ed Temple deserves this. He is the greatest United States Olympic coach in the history of our country, and he lives here. So I would ask that you not defer it indefinitely, because this is the 50th anniversary, and it is timely that we do it now. And so I would ask that this committee, if you would not vote to indefinitely defer it and allow that there be no recommendation, as was previously stated by the chair. Thank you, Mr. Hunt.
Are you requesting a tabling motion?
I cannot, because I'm not on the committee. I am requesting, I would ask if the committee would vote no on the indefinite deferral and allow the original, which was no motion was made, so therefore there was no recommendation to carry the day.
Okay. Any other comments? Council Lady Langster?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to all the council members. I know you have had a lot of communication on this legislation, and I appreciate you taking the time to read and to discuss with me what had been emailed to you. Thank you very much for doing that. But I want to tell you, there's a flip side to this. You know, there are 2 sides to every coin, every cone. What is not being said by one of the sponsors of the legislation is that he's trying to name a street after a living person. And that is against the law at this time. I was in the council in 1993 when this subject came up. I believe Councilmember Frank Harrison was also in the council. And Council Lady Gail Ray did the legislation to say that there should not be a street named after a living person. Not a building, not a bridge, but a street. The Metro Council created that rule to abolish naming streets after living people for very good reason. To add an exception to this prohibition would create uncertainty in the community about whether the council will seek to abandon other well-established principles and changes in the law to meet someone's specific agenda. I mean, you know, we make laws every day, every council meeting. We can't go back and just change it at will. And particularly this change, and naming it after a living person, I guarantee you, every one of you, every month will have 5, 6, 10 calls stressing the importance of naming their street after a living person. And that's why this bill was established and signed by Gail Ray, signed by most of the council, and signed by, at that time, Mayor Phil Bredesen. It's a very important document. And the other side to this coin while I'm talking is the people that live on 28th Avenue North is a very old and settled community. Most of the citizens are over 65 years of age and older. One lady told me when I made a visit to her house, she said that she does not read well enough to go out to the DMV on Centennial Boulevard and get a new driver's license, to go to her checking account and have it changed. All her bills, she said she's just not stable enough to do that. All her magazine subscriptions. And sure, they have a year to do it in, but look what they've got to try to take care of. The impact will be too great. That's the reason why the Planning Commission of this county said, no, we are absolutely not going to send this out without disapproving it. And they did not approve this bill. And I'm almost sure if you go back a second time, you'll pick up more support of disapproval. I mean, they discussed this bill. They did not want it, and they still don't want it if you take it back, because they see the impact on people. I lost my driver's license 3 weeks ago. I had to go out to the DMV out on Centennial Boulevard. It was very hot that day. You stand out there and they let 5 people in at a time. I was in the line for 2.5 hours. I cannot drive a car without a driver's license. Some people feel free to do that, but I just can't do it. So I had to wait. It was no need of saying I'm gonna come back, because when you come back, it's gonna be just as bad. So the impact on the community, Reverend James Brooks, Dr. David Jones of Schrader Lane Church of Christ, Dr. Brooks has St. James Baptist Church, and Dr. Judy Cummings, she has New Covenant Baptist Church. All 3 ministers sat there, came to the mic at the Planning Commission and spoke on behalf of the parishioners that live in their district, go to their church, but would be highly affected by this bill. I'm asking you, consider the older citizens. Maybe it won't hurt us, but it certainly will affect them. I asked you to vote no, like the Planning Commission did, and I asked you to please consider if it was your aunt, grandmother, sister, or even me, you know, if we had a name change, what we would have to go through and do it. With that, I asked again for you to vote no on 860. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Lady. Councilman Claiborne.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with Council Lady Langster that it's not appropriate for us to open the door to naming streets after living persons. Since I've been in the council since 2007, I've had 6 requests from folks' families in my district to name streets after a father or a brother. Many who were served, were heroes, received medals of valor and that kind of thing in military conflicts, other individuals who have been outstanding in the community in their giving and promotion of the community, that kind of thing. And so it's a simple answer to say we can't do that. There is a city ordinance that prohibits that from happening. Fortunately, a couple of years ago, we came forward with the possibility of doing memorial namings, which provides the same honor. The last request that I had was to do a naming of a road. This was a deceased person, but we did a memorial naming. And those signs are posted on at each end of that stretch of road, and they're more visible actually than the street signs are. So it's obvious that this is giving honor to a specific person. Coach Temple, as has been stated, is an exceptional person. He has achieved more than most other individuals in his line of work, in his profession. And it's confusing to me why we can't utilize the memorial naming of that entire stretch of road to honor him instead of going to the effort to overturn an existing ordinance and open the door for who knows how many requests going forward to name streets after living persons. It's not a good thing to do when there are other ways to do that. He's going to be honored with a statue at the new ball field. We have the opportunities for memorial namings. There are all kinds of ways that the greatness of this man can be honored that is not disruptive to citizens. And knowing Coach Temple to some degree, I don't think, this puts him in a position of dishonor, actually, because it makes him the object of controversy. And Coach Temple is not that kind of person. And I think that this is doing him a disservice rather than an honor to put him in that position and make him the target of the controversy in not only the neighborhood that's concerned, but the city at large. So I'm not supportive of this. I would actually move that we disapprove this.
Yeah, we got a motion pending for deferral. The next speaker is Councilman Scott Davis.
Forgive me, Mr. President. So we cannot entertain any other motion until this one is settled. Is that correct, sir?
That's correct. Okay. You want to push your button? What's your point of order?
Point of order, could a motion not be made to table the current motion, allowing for a second motion to be made? Mr. Cooper?
If someone seeks, if we're following the council rules, which most committees do, if someone seeks the floor for the sole purpose of making a tabling motion, they can do that, but they cannot make any other statement and make a tabling motion at the same time.
All right, thank you. I want to clarify that as a point of order, because you made the comment that we couldn't take up another motion, but there is a process by which to do so if someone makes a motion to table the existing motion. Is that correct?
Yes. Is that what you're doing? You can't do it because you're not right. I'm sorry. You, Scott, you got another?
I'd like the motion to table this current motion.
Okay. There's a motion to table, and we got a second. And there's discussion on that tabling motion. I think Councilman Ben-Naves.
No, only Ms. Gilmore and the maker of the motion can speak.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that, Councilman. Councilor Gilmore.
Thank you, Chair Hunt. I just want a point of clarity from Mr. Cooper, if I could. If this bill is recommended for disapproval, does that affect it on the floor versus it being deferred indefinitely? Could you please clarify that for me?
No, any action the committee takes regarding a deferral at this point would have no bearing on the ability of the council to move forward tomorrow night.
Okay, but if it's disapproved in the,
It would be acknowledged as a recommendation of disapproval from the committee, but that does not alter the votes required or the council's ability to move forward.
okay, but if it were deferred,
Same thing.
Okay. All right.
It's already been deferred one time,
okay.
so any successive deferrals have no bearing on the council's action.
Okay, thank you for that clarity.
So we are now on the tabling motion. We got a second. Okay, all right, we got a second.
I have a question, Steve.
I know we got several, but that was before they came up with the tabling motion, okay? Are there any other comments on the tabling motion? No, seeing no other comments on the tabling motion. All in favor of the tabling motion, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All opposed, raise your hand. The table of motion is defeated. No. I mean, I'm sorry, table of motion,
Back on the bill.
the bill. On the no motion bill. Okay, we got we're back on the motion. We had a motion and a second on the indefinite deferral.
And we tabled that. It's gone.
Have to be another motion.
Oh. Is there another motion? Councilman Cleveland?
I move that we disapprove.
So there's a,
I guess I'm on the speaker.
Turn off the open.
there's a motion?
Can I speak to it?
Yes. Well, what we're going to do, you'll have a chance to comment when we get to that point, okay? And you in that too. So we got a motion to turn it down.
And a second.
And you got a second. Now, we're open for questions. And I think we had Councilman Harrison. And you, okay.
Okay.
Oh, hey, push your button again.
Okay. Yeah, basically my questions have been answered because Council Lady Langster requested that we vote to defeat the bill.
Right.
And there was already a motion on the floor for indefinite deferral. So I was just trying to get clarification as to which one succeeds. And so now we know. So it's no
We have a
problem.
motion on the floor to reject. Turn down. Councilman Maynard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to since this is a committee meeting, I'll take the liberty of stating in response to Council Lady Langster and Councilman Claiborne, is that I did not come up with this idea for Ed Temple. So when the community leaders, and when I say community leaders, I'm talking about top administrators at Tennessee State University, top alumni who are officers of the Tennessee State University Alumni Association, came to me. So this is not a disservice to Ed Temple. This was a celebration of him because it's his 50th anniversary. The second point I wanted to make is that when I talked to Mr. Cooper, I noticed that there was a law prohibiting renaming streets after a living person. This was a unique situation. As I talked to the TSU officials, that Ed Temple already has 3 blocks of the street named after him. So I mentioned to them that we could do an honorary sign, but they stated that there's already a portion of the street named after him. And so then to do something honorary when there's already a street named after him is going backwards, and that they wanted to extend it for him. So I talked to Mr. Cooper and I talked, so we drew the legislation to narrowly apply only to one person. And the legislation basically states that the only exception is if there's a current street named after a current living person, you could make this exception. There's only one person in Davidson County who is alive who has a street named after that person, and that is Ed Temple. So the comments that this will open up the floodgates simply is not true. It is not true. The exception to this law applies only to one person in Davidson County. I understand that this is a tough situation. I understand that I'm a council person at large. I understand district and district council persons. What happened is that you had top officials from Tennessee State University, top officials from TSU alumni, and when I went back to them and said to them that the local district council person does not want to honor with the extension of the street, they said Ed Temple is bigger than that district. He is an international hero. And that's what I was asking that the council would think about and contemplate. And I understand you have to make your decision. But when a council person, district says, I don't want to do it, but you have an entire community, and where I live, a block away from Tennessee State University, and what Tennessee State University means not only to me, but to this community, and what it means to the country. And that their hero, which is Ed Temple, once they wanted to have this as an honorary, as an honor to him. That's why we moved forward. It was not to disrespect anybody, but this is bigger than this particular district. Ed Temple is an international hero. Finally, let me close by stating this. When we went to the different neighbors on 28th Avenue, you do not have to go to the DMV if you have a name change on your street. You can simply go online and they will take care of your address. You do not have to get a new license. It is not required that you get a new license. Now, for the Postal Service, you have to go in and you do have to change your address. That is true, you have to. For your driver's license, you do not have to get a new driver's license. You simply have to notify the DMV that has been changed. So there will not be any adverse impact on senior citizens going to have to stand in line for 2.5 hours. I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to speak to this. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're ruling on public works.
Councilman Bettany?
What I wanted to suggest is that we go with the other recommendation, but it's too late to do that because there is a motion, so I'm going to vote no on that. I honestly don't understand why is that we cannot name streets after living people. I guess it's there's plenty of heroes and amazing people in Nashville that deserve to have their streets named after them, and we are the floodgates that are going to keep that from happening if we don't want to name too many streets. But like in this particular case, I think it's better for this decision to be made by the floor of the council. So
I'm sorry. Push your button again.
So I'm just going to vote no, but not because I am not supporting Ms. Langster, it's Councilor Langster, it's because I think it's a decision for the whole council to decide. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Dowell?
I was trying to refrain from speaking on this issue, but I had to jump in and say something. I really think if I was Ed Temple, I would not want this. And I think we should be ashamed of ourselves having this type of debate for such an esteemed person. We recently named a bridge after Mr. Siegenthaler, and that went overwhelmingly 100% support. But to think if we do extend this street, all the anger, all the debate about this, to me it's just an embarrassment. And if I was the sponsor of this bill, I would not want to push this through when obviously the majority of people are in opposition to it. Because what it does, it makes it seem like that we're not honoring Ed Temple when the actuality is that we recognize him as someone great, someone who is civil, someone who's done some amazing things. And there are a lot of ways that we can honor a person that doesn't impact 200 people on the street. There are a lot of ways. We can set up an endowment at the school. We can name a building. We have bridges we're being built. And whether we do it in a 50-year anniversary or next year or next week is the fact that we honor that person. The street is already named Ed Temple. So we're not adding, in my opinion, it doesn't seem like we're adding too much to it, just extending the street a little bit more and naming it. I don't know I struggle to find the significance and relevance of that personally. I think if we're looking to honor someone who's done such great things, putting their name on the street and extending it a few miles is very small. It's small thinking, and I think we can do better than that. And I personally think having all this debate on this floor, on this committee, and what's happened over the last few months since this legislation have come up and this proposal have come up, is not a good way to usher in a naming of a street after someone and to honor them. I think the sponsor should ask to have this bill disapproved or deferred indefinitely, and let's come together and find a proper way to honor him that we all can get together and support. Thank you.
Council Lady Gilmore, do you have a comment?
Thank you. I just want to follow up on the civility piece. It was shared with me, I do not know, but that in trying to get this bill achieved, that the sponsor did publicly curse out the district council person. So with that being shared, I think that, to me, that's just really important. Like I said, that we have respect for one another. I don't take that lightly. And I totally support Coach Temple. But I said, under those circumstances, I cannot. I just cannot support the bill under that. And I don't know that a apology or a public apology has been issued. And I think you can have good intentions for doing things, but you can do them the wrong way. And I feel like that would be rewarding bad behavior. And I do take it seriously under all the different things that we come under, and all the different things, the talks, and just the different talks about how we interact with one another, male-female relationship, peer-to-peer colleague relationships. And I think it is so important, especially with what's going on with the NFL and just all these different things. So it's very important to have respect for one another and respect that civility when we do that. So I just wanted to share that as well. Thank you.
Okay, Council Lady Lancaster, did you have some comments? Okay. Okay.
Am I on? Okay. I heard the council member who is the sponsor of the bill make a statement that he talked with leaders of Tennessee State University. I know one leader. She happens to be the president of Tennessee State. Her name is Dr. Glenda Glover. She is president as we speak right now. She wrote this letter.
Excuse me, Council Lady. Let me just say something. I'm beginning to pick up on a little conversation going back and forth, and we're not going to do that. If you got something that's not been discussed, we're not going to. I think the points have been made, and we're not going to keep going back and forth on the he said, I said. So keep that in mind with your comments. If you want to come up with something totally different, you want to express your point of view and not put a comment towards somebody else, that's fine. But keep that in mind.
Yes, sir. Thank you, and I do accept your comments. As I was saying, Dr. Glover, the highest-ranking person on the university campus, just one sentence. She wrote in this letter, at this point, as president of Tennessee State University, I wish to take a neutral position on this proposal, and at this time. And I wanted everyone to know I'll have this letter on the desk tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Lady Johnson.
Thank you, Chair Hunt. I just want to speak as an alumnus of Tennessee State University. I've had many conversations with top administrators at Tennessee State, including Dr. Glover, and also to fellow colleagues who also attended Tennessee State University with me who were in leadership positions. This has been a very, very, I guess, unique and difficult situation. I wish that there would be a little bit more compromise in terms of this particular legislation. I don't agree, being a new council member, to air out any differences here on the council floor. I think that if there was something that happens between us as council members, I think that could be handled in a more professional and private
Council Lady, I think I've just gone through all that, and if you want to bring out a point to this particular issue, please do so, but
I'm not directing it to anybody. I just think that, again, I think just going forward as colleagues of each other here in the council, I think that we definitely need to work through difficult legislation such as this without pointing fingers or saying anything negative about anyone on the floor. I do agree with Councilman Bedney in that I wish that this motion was one where we would just allow the entire council to vote on it outright instead of this committee. It puts us in a very difficult situation. I've had many calls on this issue. There are a lot of people who are split in terms of their support, and it's only because the situation has been made to be uncomfortable for everyone. But I think that this is a unique situation where there's an existing street that already has Coach Temple's name on it, and this is a positive move for the city to be able to bridge two communities by extending the street. I just think that we need to look at how we can do some type of compromise to accomplish that. Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Tenpenny.
Could I call for the question, please?
Okay, call for the question. The motion. Okay, we're back on the motion. Okay, all of them, all in favor of calling for the question, raise your hand. Got too many lights on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, opposed? Okay, back on the main motion, or main bill. We have a motion on the floor to reject bill number 860. And we have a second. No further comments. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? No. Raise your hand on opposed. Okay. The bill is rejected.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
As a sponsor, wanted to, some things were said about me and my character on the floor, and therefore, Mr. Chairman, will have the opportunity to respond to that.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, that's something,
To the next legislation.
that was something that going back and forth, and I'm not letting personalities get involved in this.
Mr. Chairman, I guarantee you I will not say anything that will say what somebody else said or what happened. I would just like to make a point.
Push your button. Go ahead.
Things that were said in private, I made a private apology to the council lady for things that were said in a private conversation. And so I wanted to let everyone know that one council lady said that there needed to be an apology. I would like to let this committee know that I did apologize in a private setting to the council lady. Even though I do not agree with the way I've been characterized as what I said, I did apologize to her if I offended her in any way. But I wanted to let the council lady know that and let this committee know that.
So
Thank you.
noted, we gotta move. The next item is Bill 895. It's Pride More and others. This is an ordinance declaring surplus and approving of disposition of certain parcels of real estate. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this meeting is now adjourned.